Yeah, yeah. Let's
Good,
see.
good morning. Let's see. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We will see wherever you are in the world. I know where I am, but I'm not going to reveal to you. You'll have to guess in one of the 199 countries around the world which country that I am in. And I don't want any humor or any jokes about where it might be. This is serious business. My name's Graham Moore, and that's a serious name. Everybody should know that. And maybe my mother came to that as a bit of a joke. But anyway, I must introduce my two very wise colleagues, Mohammed Shukri in Bahrain. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning from Bahrain. Hi, Phoebe, Graham, and everybody who's watching.
And also now Phoebe in Dubai. How are
Good
you?
morning, everyone. I'm
How
very well.
you very well? Well, that's good. Let's not make light of this by any means. But I am a certified master of the Leadership Challenge. The Leadership Challenge has been around for 40 odd years, researched, really rigorously researched. And the book in itself has been sold in the many millions of copies. I have had the great honor, I would say, of the work that I did got me to be this and to join the status of certified master. And it kind of means that I know a few things about leadership, which is critically important. And so have my two gentlemen who work in the area of leadership as well. They are also certified trainers for this, certified facilitators for this wonderful program. Now, if you thought that was a fairly serious introduction, I think that leadership is a very, very serious business. And I don't want any jokes. I don't want anybody mucking around like children in the classroom. I don't want any nonsense from either of you. This must be serious. What do you think about that, Mohammed?
You must be joking.
Fall into line, Mohammed. Get on with your job.
All right. So, okay. Leadership and laughter. I mean, it's a good way of saying it. And we know we all laugh. We need to laugh. But really, when it comes between leaders and the followers, quote unquote, leaders and their, constituents, their co-workers, their teams, we need to get the job done, right? There's no time for laughter. There's no time for joking. There's no time for being too casual. Let's get on with the job, okay? So I will be serious. I will be firm. I will be assertive. And this might be your thought process when you're a leader. But we are here today to say, no, it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I'm not so sure. This is getting off the. This is important. Well, it's a serious business we're dealing with here. People's lives might be impacted on all of this, and people's livelihoods. So this is serious. Phoebe, tell me how serious this business is.
I think I loved working when I have worked with a leader who have been funny at various points of the interactions, bringing it in a lighter way. And I think, Graham, you sometimes bring some context which are unique and framed in a way in which that bring laughter in the conversation. So, I think humor as well as laughter build trust in the leadership moments, and sometimes which we feel stressful, so like it can be a sudden silence. It can be a surprise action prompting someone who is silent. So these are sometimes lighter for the whole group, bringing in change in the seriousness of the room where maybe some serious topics are under discussion.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important word, and we sometimes laugh at this because that's the word, laughter. Now, I'm recalling, and I'm not so strong on the numbers at the moment. It's been a while since I've quoted these numbers, but the research that I'm quoting says that adults laugh on average every day 6 times. Children laugh under the age of 5, laugh over 200 times a day. Now, I will say this, that I'm not going to swear by those exact figures, but they're not far off wrong, right? If they are, they're not quite, they're pretty close to being correct. And my memory is serving me going way back when I used to do this work more specifically in terms of well-being. And we talk these days about mental health in the workplace and the pressures that are on people in the workplace, and the fact that they've got to sometimes drag themselves into an environment where there is a lot of pressure on them and the work that they've got to do in high stress levels. Physiologically, the laughter mechanism in our makeup creates endorphin and dopamine, the good hormones. This also comes out of smiling, which actually has a general positive effect on us. The old idea of smiling, and when I used to talk about the importance of smiling in terms of building rapport, and I say to people, what happens when you smile? And they say, and someone else smiles back at me. And I say, well, something happens before that then causes them to do this. But when you smile, that activates those pleasure centers I mentioned of dopamine and endorphin that make you feel better. And this release of these hormones is a positive part of your day. And I say to people, if you think this is wrong, this is, you can fake this and you'll still feel better. So when you're driving home this afternoon by yourself, no one's looking at you, I want you just to smile out of the blue, and then note the positive change in your mood when you smile, because the endorphins and the dopamine are having that effect. We learn this as babies because mum and dad are going, come on, baby, come on, smile. Oh, look, he's smiling. Baby's thinking, what are they doing? I don't know, but I'm going to do it too. Baby smiles, and that starts this process of baby feeling the endorphins and dopamine being released. This goes through our lives every day. So when we see someone, or when we're walking into the office, smile and change their mood, they will likely smile back at you because instinctively they know, because they've been aware of this for a long time, when they smile, they feel better. It changes the mood state. But laughter takes it to a different level. Watch children playing. Just get a sense of this. Watch children playing. They laugh. They laugh so much, and they're interacting. So adults are too serious. This is serious business. We've got to make a $3 million sale. This is serious. Give me a break.
There's a serious side of it, which is, leaders must take seriously. And that's the benefits of having laughter and, being, having fun, less serious. Research shows that the people you are talking to or the people you are leading will have some sort of resistance always to what you say, what you're about to say. All right? They have their inner defenses and shields. It's normal because people are protective anyway, and especially when you are the leader, they have no idea what are you going to say, what are you going to land on them, and until you share some humor, until you reach to a point where there is humor between you both, then those shields tend to go away. And if not go away, at least go to minimum. We use this in public speaking big time. If we have an important, serious point in our talk, we make sure it comes right after some humor, because this is where their defense is at its lowest. No wonder in relationships in marriage, which inherently there is tension. It will be, by potentially always there will be tension. So having humor, is very important between couples. So if there is one thing leaders should take away is that being less serious and using humor is very good when you want to pass something truly serious.
Yes.
I just want to share a lighter moment which happened today. So we were in the discussion, and we just mentioned about, when in the training business, quite often people want complimentary sessions. So I was just sharing about a mental health program, and there was an organization who want the session to be complimentary. So, in the lighter conversation, Graham just highlighted a way in which it can be presented. That was that I felt very interesting. Okay, today we are discussing about mental health, but the organization is finding it difficult to pay me because that is creating a challenge for thinking about how I am going to uh, take back some income back to my home to buy bread. So, that is creating stress for me at this point of time. So that was a context, actually driving a point in one way, but also in a humorous way, that the people in the conversation understand how powerful it is to drive sometimes the
Yeah.
point which we want to make through humorous approaches.
I want to come back to a comment that directly related to this, but it was mentioned by Mohammed, and you talked about a moment ago humor in speaking. Right? As a professional speaker, should you use humor? And this comment resonates with me. It comes back into my mind now. This I first heard many years ago in the speaking business in Australia. It was this man. It was a well-known speaker in Australia, and he helped others become very successful speakers. And his line, of the many positive lines that he had about being successful in this business, he said, "People ask me if you should include humor in your presentation." And he said, "Only if you want to be asked back again."
Yes.
Right? That's the power of humor. Now, it doesn't mean you're there to stand up and tell jokes. No, it's about humor, and humor is very different to joke telling. So coming back to the workplace, the leader's not going to come in the morning and say, "Hey, let me tell you this joke. Did you hear the one about?" No, it's not about telling jokes. It's not. That makes that destroys the credibility of the leader. If there's something serious about to happen, and he says, "Well, before we go and fire this person, let me tell you this funny story." No, that's not it. The humor is always context appropriate, right? He can't suddenly say, "Let's have a laughter session and change our mood states." It's got to be judiciously used, and it is effective. People know if you're showing emotional intelligence, and with emotional intelligence, people can read your mood state, and if they know that you're happy, and that's going to impact on them. And if you can say something that makes them laugh, or even if it doesn't make them laugh, but it's humorous, then that is positive in the workplace and the relationships that we have with the people that we are leading.
Exactly. And I know this session is not a handbook or a guideline. And so, but there are several ways and shapes and forms of expressing humor. And without mentioning examples, you can use wit. Wit is a form of humor. You can, pick on something that happened in the conversation, and you remind them of, that time when it happened, and they remember that, funny instance that happened before. You just, anchor it, remind them of it. You can mock yourself, but very carefully, all right, without shooting yourself down. You can do all sorts of things. You can make the other person feel better, all right? And sometimes just a small note can make them giggle, and it's enough to create that soft humor and sense of delightedness. Whatever you do, make sure you don't hurt the other person. Sometimes people go into horseplay. Okay, that's not the humor we are talking about. Or mock someone, make someone uncomfortable in the room, or even you pick on someone who is not in the room. I know you are not hurting the people in the room, but you make jokes of someone who are not in the room. What will your people think of you? Okay, and they might say, okay, what if we are not in the room? Will he also mock us, etc.? So as long as you're not hurting, you're being respectful, go ahead and try any sort of humor per se.
I'm just going to put, before I come back to Phoebe, I want to put this caveat over what you've just said specifically, and that is making fun of or having some laughter about someone who's in the room at their expense. Do you know what we mean by that?
Yeah,
At their
yeah.
the person who we are directing the humour at, or someone who is not in the room. Both of those two examples are fatal. Now, that's a big determinant, but you don't do it, because if you do, you're going to lose credibility. So you can
Exactly.
have fun of yourself. Hey, let me tell you what happened yesterday. I was, oh my gosh, I forgot that. And they laugh, right? That's perfectly okay. And for a leader to make fun of him or herself indicates to the others how genuine that person is, because that person doesn't have such an ego that he can't talk about funny things that happened to him or her yesterday or last week. Whereas a manager would probably not tell a joke or a funny story about something that happened to him, because they would think that their credibility might suffer. But if a leader is confident enough in himself, can tell a couple of stories about what happened to him, or oh my gosh, and we laugh about that. But it's also important that humor is humor is contextual. So the leader, with his emotional intelligence and his leadership skills and his relationship, must be aware of how the team are feeling, must be able to check the climate of the culture at the time to be able to tell a joke and know that it's appropriate to have that joke to break any negativity that might be there, rather than just coming out with a joke or something funny at the wrong time. And anything that's funny can't in any way reflect negatively or in a hurtful way on anybody else in the room or who is not in the room at the time.
Something which struck me in the Middle Eastern context also is also about understanding the culture. Sometimes the words, meanings associated may be slightly different, and it can be sometimes misunderstood. And yes, that can lead to funny moments, but it can also lead to embarrassing moments for the people involved. So, what kind of meaning making process also culturally aligned also has to be kept in mind. And also, yes, if you sometimes by error said something, apologize for that and move on. So that can also be, acceptable in the cultures where we are in.
Yeah, that's a key point. It really is, that we have to be, any humor has got to be acceptable in the context and the culture that we are in. And so we are not going to make a joke about a particular culture or a particular sex. You're not going to make jokes about women nor about men per se, right? This is again a no-no. This doesn't help the situation at all. And humor is around us all the time if we can find ways and develop ways for these things to happen. There's a couple of little things that I've done over the years, and I must say, because I've been doing this for a while, these sort of lines come out. I haven't got a list of things that I'm going to say, and they even surprise me at times. And I remember some years ago when I was in at a store buying something. It doesn't matter what it is, but the woman said, "Can I have your phone number, please?" Now, I knew that she was very much in a business context, right? She wasn't going to give me a call and say, "How are you doing, young man?" I knew that wasn't going to be the reason for her wanting my phone number. This was business. And she said, "Can I have your phone number?" And I said, let me use Etisalat as the regional connection. It wasn't. But let me just say, when she said, "Can I have your phone number?" I said, "Why don't you ring Etisalat? They've got thousands of them." She laughed. Right? And I thought, I'm thinking, where did that come from? But she laughed. Then she said, "Can I have your name too?" And I then said something like, "What's wrong with yours?" Something silly, right? Or no, I didn't. No, what I said was, "I don't think Graham would suit you." She laughed, right? Not hysterically, but she laughed. 3 days later, I came in to pick up the goods that I was ordering at the time, for which she needed my name and my number. And I was being served by someone else. I've come to pick up this, and I wasn't making jokes. And the woman who was serving me said, "Oh, that is X price. Thank you." And the woman who was standing very close to her, but a little bit behind, was the woman that I made these little comments to the other 3 days before. So the first woman said, "Oh, this is how much it is." And then this woman stepped forward and said, "No, I remember you. You get 10% off." Wow. So you see, humor can come around and reward you. Because I had made something light of what was going on the day. I think it's stupid. I mean, when someone says, "Can I have your number?" and I say, "Call Etisalat, they've got thousands of them." But she laughed, and I kind of did too. They're not prepared. I don't keep saying that line, I must say. Although years ago, I've got to stop this. Years ago, when the credit cards are first introduced, way back, and we go into a store to pay with something on the credit card, and in those days, quite often the person who was doing the transaction would say, "Oh, which card would you like that to go to?" And I always said someone else's, which kind of got a smile or something. This helps their day, right? They're busy serving complaining customers or whatever, and I'm lightening their day. Am I rude? Never. I would be so offended I would be so upset if I did this. And so when we understand the connection and the context, as leaders, we will be also remembered, not for being that serious person who never smiled and was pushing objectives all the time, but who connected with other people and made them smile.
Yes.
So there you go. Stop talking. That's a joke. You never stop talking. Thank you.
So if there's something in the end, I would say the leaders might say, "I don't have a sense of humor," or "I don't have that in me. It's a talent. I'm not born with it." Okay. So were you not born as a leader, right? You were made as a leader, all right?
When I was
But
born, my mother didn't start laughing.
we were crying, right? I think we were crying when we were born, right? Okay.
Oh my God, it's ugly. But you develop this. You develop this side of you, and it's very much a part of the relationship. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. And you can try it. I mean, you can try, and there will not never be one way of humor, and there is no perfect way. So idealism will only make you more dull and more afraid and more tensed, which is counterproductive and way more, damaging than trying to make things easier and laugh. You may be afraid of being taken advantage of, but remember, you are a leader who follows the 5 practices of the leadership challenge, because you keep sharing, you are modeling the way, you inspire shared vision, you have taken leadership as a relationship. So all of that is making up for that little tiny place where they might take advantage of you. You can recover from that, but the benefits are a lot and too good to be overlooked.
You are not there to be the clown, right? You are there to inject into some of the conversation a smile, some humor. That's what gets better results, and it certainly builds a relationship. Phoebe, make me laugh.
Just thinking, why did leader cross the road to get the next strategic objective?
Good, very good. There you go. A leader could say, "Okay, the next team meeting," or maybe sets it as an ongoing thing. Okay, I want someone to give us a one-liner that gives us a smile, and then we can go each meeting. We'll have one person who does this. So Phoebe, it's your turn next week. No, Mohammed, we just have one from Phoebe. So it's Mohammed, it's your turn next week. I don't know. There's opportunities for this, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, why not start the meeting with a laugh?
Yeah, and maybe keep a jar with a title like "Funniest Mistake Jar." What happened, and read this funniest mistake, or share it in a small group meeting at the end of the week, and before we leave.
And this comes back to mental health in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about this for leaders, but humor has a direct, positive, funny impact on mental health. You've got to laugh. You've got to find humor in your daily life. Gentlemen, this has been a laugh, as they sometimes say. You're not being a comedian. you're helping others put a smile on their face, and you can do that absolutely as a leader. So my gracious thanks, my humble thanks, my humor that sometimes works. A final word from Muhammad, please, before we
I
leave.
thought what I said was my final word. So I'm not going to add anything on my final word. Otherwise, I will die.
I thought it was brilliant. I really did. I thought it was brilliant. So thank you. Phoebe, I thought your final word was pretty good too.
I thought, like some of the studies has highlighted that, people, especially those in the leadership who use humor, build trust 30% faster.
Wow. Yes. Now, as I said earlier, it's not coming in to tell a joke. You're not the class clown or the comedian or something, but it's humor, and leaders should make people laugh. Gentlemen, my thanks to you both. It has been a fun ride, and I say to everybody who's watching or listening, bring some humor into your world and the world of those you are leading. See you next week.
Thank
See you.
you.